Keep your hands and head inside the vehicle at all times. Buckle your seatbelts, check your mirrors, sit on back and relax. It's lights out and away we go for the Tall and Short of It podcast. All right, hello and welcome everyone to the 2022 Australian Grand Prix. We're coming to you live from the Sydney Opera House. I'm your host, Justin.
And I'm Aaron. Welcome back. Beautiful views out here at the Opera House. I need to have my green screen set up, even though they're in Melbourne, so that would be kind of ironic to be in just a completely different part of Australia.
Well, I mean, at least we'd still be in the country.
True. And I can guarantee that around the country there's probably some big watch parties and fun excitement going on for this race. So, formation lap, Leclerc is really slowing it down through this last chicane. But it looks like pretty much everyone on the mediums to start. So, we'll get to see how things shake out. We've got a Ferrari 1, Red Bull 2, 3 start. Sainz had a pretty rough qualifying, so he's down, I believe, in P9 to start.
Yeah, it didn't really work out for the second Ferrari car. A lot of woes in general. I think Fernando Alonso as well was having some trouble. While Sainz was more of an on-track problem. Fernando's was a technical issue. But yeah, Australia giving a lot of teams a lot of issues. Interesting to note, we were supposed to have 4 DRS zones. We were back down to 3. I believe it was Fernando Alonso that talked to the directors, and they agreed that maybe that's too fast to be having to take action on the wheel while under DRS. So,
which makes sense because it was a DRS, but then it was still a full out pedal to the floor next corner before the next DRS zone. So there's really no slowing at all. But they're all lined up. Lights are going on, and lights are out. So
wait, the lights are not out. Now, well, they are out.
Oh, the race has started.
Oh, okay, great. Like way behind you.
Wow, and great start from Hamilton, getting past Perez at the start. How are we doing? Are we up to live?
I'm way behind you. I was just finding a good time to get up and change it.
Gotcha.
Well, do you want to slide? Can you just slide yours back?
Sure. Do you know how far back you are?
Still on lap 1. It's probably like turn 7.
Let's see. So they're going through. Oh, Valtteri just had his wheels go off. Are you up live now?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I have them coming around the final turn down the main straight now. Wow. So Leclerc has only held a half a second lead. Hamilton already a second and a half back, and Perez is going to be itching for that DRS to get turned on so that he can look to get back past Lewis Hamilton. He's about a second back from him, but a great start from Hamilton and Russell, with Norris sliding down a couple spots behind them.
Yeah, now we see the 2 McLarens up in 6 and 7. Yeah, I can't. Sorry about the fucking delay there. That's insane. Like how much I couldn't actually react with you. That's so funny.
No worries.
Now we're back and go. But yeah, I'm amazed that Lewis was able to make up those 2 spots.
Wow. Big point. Sainz slipped 6 places. He's just dropping down the grid. Oh, he spun.
no.
Oh, Sainz is beached. In the gravel, the yellow flag out. DRS will not come on for lap 3 with that yellow flag until they, yeah, they'll have to bring out the safety.
Quick to right before that yellow flag comes on. Right when he spins is where I'm at.
Okay, he's in the gravel for me right now.
Flag, beach, yep. Alright, very cool. Now we're caught up.
Struggling then.
Okay.
Really seemed firing line on the outside.
So you still have, just changed to lap 3 on my screen. Are you on lap 3?
Yep. Alright, cool. Now we're here. Yeah, because then you say that, it's like, oh my god, no, we're not live. Alright, so this is an amazing race companion where if you're listening, you're likely far ahead of where we are. So you may have to click and find where we are on the race. But right now we're seeing Carlos Sainz get tangled up here.
Yeah, so just... Oh, man. That could have been so bad. Very, very good on the other drivers, particularly Zhou Guanyu dodging out on Sainz there. He came across the track so quick. So virtual safety car, reduced speeds, keeping the delta, as they'll have to bring out the crane to pull Carlos's Ferrari out of the gravel. Wow. I was just about to talk about, he had slipped down 5 spaces just from his starting position at that point. He was already in P14, like stable there. And then as soon as I went to say that, I'm like, wait, he's dropping place after place down the grid. Oh man, that is brutal.
And everybody else like winging by him,
yeah,
spinning out.
So brutal for the start for Ferrari. Definitely not what they're looking for in terms of the Constructors' Championship, having both Red Bulls and both Mercedes up there in P's 2 through 5, and losing the second Ferrari car is going to definitely hurt. Wow, Lewis had a really nice start here. We're seeing him on the replay. Oh, wow.
It's amazing how fast they all just slowed down. Like, that was honestly super cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that turn 1, like, does come up pretty quick in that scenario.
Yeah,
but,
well...
yeah, just watching them all kind of lock in, that's sweet.
Definitely, and that was similar, that was kind of what the issue was with Alonso's car when he lost power and spun out in qualifying, and knocked himself out. He didn't have the power braking from the engine, so when he lost that engine power... It's utilized in that braking as well, how they also can harvest the energy and everything. Wow, Sainz, yeah, he really just got pinched off a bad start.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate, especially after such a tough qualifying too, and just to get slid even further back the line. That's not going to be good for Ferrari, where they were at the top of the table. They were expecting to continue getting a lot of points.
Yeah,
man, that could have been dangerous, not just for him.
Yeah, well, and like I said, serious props to Zhou Guanyu for dodging that out, because he was the next car coming around as a very wide Ferrari went right across the track in front of him. So glad everyone was
car out here.
Yeah, glad everyone was safe in the situation.
Both Aston Martins started on the hard tyre, so Lance Stroll also feeling like Carlos Sainz, perhaps they're not quite right for him. We should underline
Leclerc, Verstappen, and Lewis all 1, 2, and 3, and I think Perez is behind that, and that's kind of the order going into the safety car laps here.
Yeah, seeing Leclerc weaving down the straight here behind that nice green Aston Martin safety car that we have this weekend, as opposed to the bright red Mercedes car. I kind of wonder how they decide what to do with that, or like which safety car to use.
I would imagine either it's some kind of arbitrary, just every other, or it could be something as specific as, you know, the top speed of the Aston Martin is different than the Mercedes, so they want that for, you know, certain tracks to be able to lead ahead without it being dangerous.
That makes sense.
That could be, you know, just superstition or whatever. Like I said, it could just be as dumb as like, oh, well, they paid us more money this weekend, so we'll use the Aston Martin.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know.
I'm gonna have to probably watch some replays of just, and I'm sure we'll get some of the Sainz view as he was going through the first lap and all, because I'm very curious to see if he kind of tried to send it a little bit hard and outbrake people at that turn in an attempt to try and regain those positions too early. I feel like that may be one of those kind of just situations where he tried to make it up too quickly instead of just trusting that over the course of the race he was going to be able to just regain those positions and all.
Sure. Yeah, and hopefully, like you were saying, hopefully we will get an onboard of it. But yeah, that's just pretty dangerous if that was the move.
Yeah, but I think that may be. I believe that's one of the turns that we've seen some issues with throughout the weekend in terms of drivers also just running it too deep and not slowing down quite enough in the braking zone. So we've seen a number of spins through practices and qualies and everything. So definitely an adjustment to some of the new changes that they made to the Albert Park track.
Yeah, big time. And in this safety car, I just want to take a second to slow it down just a little bit. Being that this race is in Australia, it's 1 a.m. start time where we are. So obviously ignore any yawns or any sleepy time looks, because it is definitely past me and Aaron's bedtime. But I have to say, this feels very kind of, I don't know, like stealing away into the cupboard to watch like old alien movies or something. It feels like we're doing something we're not supposed to. So I have to be honest, there's that kind of a cool vibe to it.
Oh, definitely. And like I was mentioning before we got completely rolling to Justin, it reminded me of a time when I was in college and Justin came to visit to watch the League of Legends World Championship. It was over, I believe, in China that year. So we were watching at obscene hours of the night, just hanging out and watching League of Legends. So similar vibe for me from that.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Well, and to comment on that point, I think that's why I'm so looking forward to the Japanese Grand Prix, because if I understand it correctly, it will be similar to this, but even later. I think it'll be closer to like 2-3 a.m.
Nice.
When that race will be on here. So just all good things to come. Looks like the safety car is ending. We're on lap 6 of 58 here, so we'll be getting back into the racing. Just some old Aaron and Justin lore here for the people that are really listening.
Oh yeah.
Once again, we got Leclerc up front, gonna be doing the restart from Max.
Yeah, looking to see if he can get a good jump, which is tough the way Max likes to do that. A little speed wobble from Leclerc, and Max is right on him. So down the main straight, going to be trying to break that slipstream.
Yeah, big time.
That porpoising is brutal on the Ferrari.
It does seem pretty bad, and it's weird because I thought, oh wow, that is really rough. I thought a lot of these teams had it solved, but we were seeing evidence of it here. Obviously, I guess they're really picking up some speed on that straight.
Yeah, they've and it's been all weekend long that I feel like I've seen that in any of their onboard cameras. You see either the helmet cameras, you see it like everything's bobbling up and down, or in the case of the onboard cameras on the car itself, you just see the helmet of Sainz or Leclerc just bouncing as they go down those straights.
Yeah, it's just intense because, I mean, this is a track that, you know, those 4 DRS zones, well, when you have DRS zones, well, when you have long straights, so they're trying to push at higher speeds for more sections of the lap where the cars, I don't think development-wise, are at the point where they're actually, like, efficient at those high speeds.
Yeah.
But so it's like this really weird trade-off.
Yeah, but comparatively to the Red Bull, I'm honestly just extremely surprised that the Ferrari is able to hit those top speeds and maintain with that much porpoising, as the Red Bull is not moving at all and is still just kind of trying to match those speeds. So it makes me curious to see if Ferrari just has some extra speed to unlock once they figure out that engineering issue.
Yeah, that's actually a really good question, and maybe that speaks to where they are developmentally. Where okay, so they have just this one porpoising issue to solve, or like a ground effect issue to solve, and then maybe it actually speaks a lot to Leclerc as a driver, his fitness level. Where, you know, we had talked about it previously, where drivers like Kevin Magnussen were having issues with the just their fitness in the car from just taking all the G-forces.
Yeah.
Maybe that's an element to it where he can just kind of ride through it. And we're seeing on these tracks with the longer straights, it's obviously hitting these drivers pretty hard.
Yeah, and you see it a bit with the Mercedes as well, but I think it's much more pronounced and looks definitely a bit rougher in the Ferrari of Leclerc right now out front. But Leclerc has been able to really stretch a little bit of a lead, getting out just outside of a second. So as DRS comes on, I believe after this lap, he may be able to make a run at him.
Yeah, it's interesting though with the battle between Perez and Hamilton right behind, and Hamilton is not too far off of Max. There's like a little bit of a gap, but yeah, a lot of these battles are really close behind. We got 2 of the McLarens battling. We're gonna have them in some kind of DRS train here soon. So interestingly enough, we're only about 9 laps in. I know we had the safety car period, but we've got some pretty tight racing up at the front. I know, like you were saying, the car's pulling away a little bit.
Yeah.
Confirm. Okay.
Just stretching out, and so I feel like that is just the race pace that we've seen from the Ferrari. So with the short safety car that we had and all, I would not be surprised to see Verstappen just try and stretch these medium tires a bit longer than they typically would go, maybe an extra lap or 2, but still look to get the undercut that seems to have worked so far pretty well for the Red Bull cars. Seems like that does a bit better than the overcut, and trying to get in an extra lap on good tires and all. So Max may need that to try and pull back in for that lead against Leclerc.
Yeah, I think you're right. Importantly, what we got going on between Perez and Lewis right now, Perez has been looking for multiple turns now onto Lewis. I think he finally gets it done here on turn 4 going into turn 5. Really starts pulling away, although I think Lewis still may have a chance to get him back.
Yeah, they lost 1.4 seconds.
Yeah, that'll be tough. I think, though, I think he just doesn't quite have that top speed with the Mercedes power unit. So hopefully, as a Red Bull fan, Perez can try and get back into the race, so that having that 2-3 would be huge for them in that Constructors' Championship. A 1-2 or a 1-3 would be even more enticing if they can make that happen. So, but those McLarens are tight on the back of the Mercedes at this point.
Yeah, and honestly, like this is the kind of performance that we've been waiting for from McLaren this whole season. We're round 3 in Australia. This is Daniel Ricciardo's home race. I think this is exactly the time for them to be 6 and 7, and specifically him 7, because he has had so much trouble getting this car under control. But yeah, it's beautiful to see them so high up the grid, and it looks like they're being competitive with the Mercedes. We'll see how the race goes for them.
Yeah, so, and McLaren's using the Mercedes power, of course, but they have just looked much better over the weekend than they have so far this season. So I wasn't sure if there was going to be able to be adjustments made to get that McLaren in form, but they have definitely found something to be able to. And there's Seb Vettel.
Just going off.
Yeah. But yeah, the McLaren's really figuring out some ways to get a bit more performance out of the car, and that DRS train we're seeing as the wings pop open, and that's Ocon who's actually chasing down or trying to chase down the McLarens.
Yeah, man, and that Alpine has honestly had so much pace. It was unfortunate with Alonso in Q3 where he went off, like we had talked about earlier. But honestly, this weekend, today, and we've seen previously this season, the Alpines have looked really good and have a lot of pace here.
Yeah, I mean, Alonso was putting in a phenomenal lap in qualifying before he crashed to potentially be competing for that pole position. It was actually pretty exciting to see a fifth driver in there for the competition outside the 2 Red Bulls and 2 Ferraris. So that was definitely fun to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's some shenanigans going on towards the back of the grid here, though. Like, I was not expecting to see. I mean, after the weekend that they've had, sure. But with the Stroll and Vettel all the way at the back, this is not where they wanted to be. We've got Latifi and Albon back to back as well. This is not going well for those. And obviously they're not competing for the top of the table. But just some unfortunate stuff going on there as well.
Definitely.
We thought the intel in the paddock was that the Red Bull was going to be.
Yeah, seeing the Williams cars both ahead of the Aston Martins is definitely a surprise. The Haas cars having a little drop off from how they had been performing as well, but I think that this is a more likely thing that we'll kind of see throughout the season, that they'll fluctuate in that midfield. Just as they're continuing to bring in upgrades and just see the other teams looking to improve performance as well. So we've got a lot to look out for throughout the season with that, which is definitely an interesting one after the past couple of years in the Haas team. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree. What's so interesting is that compared to the year that Mick had last year, where he was pretty much back of the grid the whole time, barring a couple good performances there towards the end, and then now be ahead of people that were competing middle of the road on average last year, and hitting track times that are better than theirs, and doing race times that are better. It's a pretty interesting spot, and I would imagine pretty vindicating for them as a team, where they just put so much development into this car. It's cool that Mick is stepping up as a driver and can actually put those laps in where it seems like the car is relatively competitive, I would say, and then to have Kevin Magnussen coming in, who knows, a veteran driver to back him up.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to see comparatively to last year, especially with Magnussen back in the car in my brain know where Mazepin would be at this point in the season and how he would be competing. That's just my, like, it would be interesting because I think that we could judge Schumacher's start to the season a bit better, because he was always maintaining and almost every race that out-qualifying his teammate, kind of outperforming him throughout the season. So with him having these better performances, obviously they've gotten a better car this year that they put together for the 2022 season, but with a veteran driver coming in, it's a little bit harder to compare the year-to-year improvements in terms of driving ability as well as the car.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's just
he's unloading the right front.
I don't know. Can it speak to like development of the driver though? I mean, you know, because he was back of the pack and now he's not.
Well, but they were more so that they were both like always pretty close to each other throughout the season in terms of like finishing 19th, 20th, or whatever on the grid. Typically like relatively close and occasionally battling with each other. So if this year Schumacher is consistently up in those P12 through 15, but Mazepin was still down the grid, it would kind of speak to like a little bit more how the car has improved as well as Schumacher comparatively to his teammate. That control group kind of changed to see the side by side.
Right, where if we would see maybe like what would illustrate it pretty well right now. I guess it doesn't matter, but yeah. I see what you're saying.
But really interesting. Max is just dropping further and further back from Leclerc. He was complaining about graining on his front left tire, and he just has also complained throughout the weekend about just not feeling very comfortable in terms of his like just feel for the track and feel for the car. So, and actually, I may have to correct myself. It may have been Bottas who dodged out on Sainz earlier, as opposed to Zhou Guanyu. It's hard to tell from their individual like onboard cameras who is who sometimes.
Well, regardless, it was an Alfa Romeo in danger of getting a Ferrari across their front fender.
Yeah.
And that would not be good for anybody involved.
Oh, definitely not. But it's
just so crazy talking about like rookies and first seasons and early starts and whatever, because even Tsunoda, he's in his second year, he's up P12. We just see Haas going off, and then we see like Zhou Guanyu. Honestly, it seems like the Alfa Romeo is a pretty good vehicle. Like he's P13. I think his qualifying performances have been strong. He looks good in the practice and quali sessions. You know, he may not be all the way at the top of the table, but he's not putting it into the wall. He's not spinning. He's not getting in the way of anybody. Like, how many times did we see these rookie drivers like spinning in this section, you know, impeding traffic here and blah, blah, blah. I think overall he's had a great start to his first Formula 1 season.
Oh, absolutely.
To comment on the other guy, Yuki Tsunoda, I think he has improved massively. So overall, maybe I'm just speaking to the it seems like a bunch of these young guns, this is the point I'm trying to make, it seems like a bunch of these young guns are really upping the competitiveness level in Formula 1 by just some of the performances they're able to put up.
Definitely. And I think a big thing for Tsunoda was getting a bit more consistency from his drives, and he really has so far this season done that quite well. And speaking of Zhou Guanyu, he has also been like you said, just performing really well. He's not far off the pace of Bottas, who is a veteran driver. And so the fact that he is as composed as he is, he looks so comfortable. And even hearing him in different interviews and all, he has been able to speak to just feeling like he's growing as he gets more and more time in the car and everything. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, big time. And I don't mean to talk about anybody like this, like I'm disparaging them or patronizing them or whatever. I'm just coming from a genuine position of like it's just truly fun to watch these younger individuals coming into the sport and just performing well, especially when you have such an example of somebody that just like kind of botched a lot of their weekends, right? Like you could just immediately put them up against that and be like, oh yeah, well that eye test passes.
Oh yeah,
like with flying colors, right? I think that's just so much fun. And I don't mean to like talk shit. It's just such an easy example of like, well look at this. You got Yuki P11, you got Joe P12. I mean, they're performing immaculately, and it's just really fun to watch, especially on these tracks where it's new for everybody. And speaking of new for everybody, Max Verstappen's coming into the pits to get new tires, going for the what would that be, the undercut on the Ferrari?
Yeah, I don't know if it will really do much because he was already about 7 or 8 seconds back, so. It's not a bad stop.
I just mean the pit first, looking for the...
Yeah, trying to get out there. I think with how much he was struggling on the tires, it was definitely needed. So we'll see if he can maintain position with those new hard tires that he's got. He's got Gasly and Alonso right on his tail, and Alonso diving down the inside of Gasly. Wow.
Good on him. What I find so impressive, and I know this is like whatever, I'll say it anyway, it's just fun that these drivers can make significant mistakes in their practice and qualifying sessions, shunt their car, bin it, but then like they're here on track, with a fully working thing. Obviously they don't get to tune it in and whatever, they just hopefully they're able to copy and paste settings, I guess. But overall it's just fun that these engineers and the teams are so well oiled that they're able to get a vehicle on the track.
Oh yeah,
the next day. It's insane.
The amount of effort and time that they have to put in for that is probably pretty exhausting. So it's definitely nice to see them being able to do that, and including the Aston Martin team doing that for Vettel to even get him out there in qualifying when they didn't have the they really probably shouldn't have been able to, except for Lance Stroll causing a red flag, giving them a little bit more time to fix his car.
Right. Yeah, that was crazy in the qualifying session.
McLaren have not responded to.
That's not what we're here for. We're here for the race.
Tight fight right now between Perez and Hamilton. It looks like Sergio is struggling a little bit on the medium tires as well. So he's really putting on his best stop Lewis Hamilton performance as we have previously seen. So
honestly, I'm gonna start calling Sergio Lewis Bane. He is like the one driver that Lewis cannot get by, and not in a way of like, he's got to be scrappy or unfair or anything. Like just on merit, Lewis just has a really tough time with Sergio Perez, unless he just dives into the pits and then it's free.
Yeah.
Great analysis, dude.
Gotta love it. As you're making a good point, they're like, oh, all right.
But yeah, this is really interesting. I just wanna comment now that we're seeing a couple of cars in the pits. We have them doing we have Red Bull doing a 2.5. We have McLaren doing a 2.4 for Lando Norris. So I'll stop to say here, where we were seeing 3s and 3.9s and a bunch of ridiculous times on the first 2 races, we're seeing those pit times come way down. So just as much as the drivers are getting practice, just as much as the engineers are putting new parts on these cars, these pit teams are dropping the times. A 2.4 and a 2.5 is pretty good compared to what we were seeing.
Yeah, and with the new changes that they've made with the guns and everything for the tires, it really slows that down. I don't think we'll see any sub 2 second pit stops anymore, but that 2.4, 2.5 is a really clean stop. So seeing some of the teams putting those in is definitely good to see.
Yeah. There's something to be said this race for, they were calling for a 1 stop pretty early, but now that the temps have been higher, we've got a pretty warm track here today. I think it may be messing with some of these teams' pit strategies here. We may be seeing maybe a two stop for some of these teams.
Yeah, I think it'll kind of depend a lot on seeing if there's a safety car. It will really, I think in most cases, be a situation where teams will try and stretch those. Oh my gosh.
That was close.
Yeah, that was tight.
Oh my gosh.
And Albon with the DRS and Stroll.
Oh, kept it on the track.
Oh man, but Albon,
close from all them.
but losing the place to the Aston Martin of Lance Stroll there, and Leclerc getting the box over the radio.
Damn, dude, what a day! Now look at the Mercedes, 2 and 3.
Yeah, and they're looking to lose about 20 seconds. So after Leclerc, let's see, very good stop. Very good stop. Yeah, that looked nice and clean. Hamilton coming into the pits and George Russell coming down the main straight. He'll be pretty tight to Leclerc on the exit. Actually, about 3 seconds still. So, yeah, that's still coming down as Russell's on those warmed up tires. Leclerc on the cold hard tires, and Verstappen is gained about 3 seconds out of that undercut right now by a couple laps.
And hopefully, it's kind of hard to tell right now with the data we have, but hopefully he was released in clear air. But is that him just right behind Lewis?
That's Sergio.
Sergio right behind Lewis. Okay. Yeah, those two have been battling literally all afternoon here. But hopefully Max is able to get something done.
Warm-up is bad on this tyre. Just do what you can.
Oh, wow. That is some crazy racing.
Sergio gets it done. Looks like kind of Lewis conceded a little bit. Maybe playing. Yep. Just going after it.
I think, safety car out. What happened?
He just cut speed immediately, too. That was super exciting.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Sebastian Vettel.
Don't look like he crashed. Looks like he just pulled off to the side.
Oh, no, not the scooter for Seb again.
Scooter again. Not the scooter. Oh, man.
Did he hit somebody?
I'm not sure. It looked like there was a front wing out on track.
Under the safety car, look, 12 seconds as opposed to nearly 20. George Russell's just popped himself up.
Yeah, Russell just got a really fortunate stop there. So, losing about 8 seconds less and vaulting up over Alonso and Perez. So, yeah, I'd be a little concern being one of those guys hopping the wall. I understand the safety car and everything. That would be not my ideal situation, being on the track. Oh,
It's highly unusual.
Man, that's so brutal too. One small mistake just punished by a wall.
yeah.
Oh man.
Just it looked like the car just skipped as it was coming off the curb there.
Yeah.
Front wings especially.
Rough, man, Sebastian Vettel. Oh my guy.
Just a brutal start to the season, unfortunately, and the Aston Martin team has got a lot of work set out for them putting these cars back together. That's a busy week.
That's a busy week. Holy shit! I hear you. Man. Yeah, dude, and you hate to see it too. Like veteran driver, world championship twice, correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, like that's just crazy to see such a, not even like just lack of performance. Like we haven't even seen him drive.
Yeah, I mean COVID for 2 races and then just some car issues. So yeah, definitely unfortunate. But actually, so Vettel has 4 titles. I should have known that. He won from 2010 till up through 2013 seasons, 4 in a row.
A little bit disadvantaged on the exit. Running a bit wide, had to get out of the throttle.
That's not a mistake I'll make ever again.
Come back at him. This is the left-hander of 9. Look, he's gone really deep. Compromises 10. Lewis is coming at him. Then they call the safety car.
Lewis was like really battling back until the safety car.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think that helicopter shot.
Yeah, that could have been a pretty fun battle to see, and I guess we'll get to see it on the restart. Alonso still though not taking that stop. I think maybe he is just gonna hold on to those hard tires for a while and potentially look to get a free pit stop similar to how George Russell was able to under the safety car. So.
Yeah, right now we have Alonso, Magnussen, and Alexander Albon all on their original set of tires. And that's gonna, I think for Alonso, it could create some advantageous opportunities. For Magnussen and Albon, overall, I think it's just going to be detrimental. I think they're just going to drop a lot of spots. That's going to give a boon to both the McLaren boys, depending on what the restart looks like. But you know, these safety cars, they bunch everybody back up. Those old tires, they're just going to get eaten up. That's going to be rough. We're going to see a couple people gain some spots.
It does have a little bit of benefit just in terms of less aggressive wear on the tires for those people with the original tires, but still overall it's going to be a they have to stop at some point, so yeah. Lewis on the radio with the team about bad luck with safety cars. And George being able to hop over him in the order, but yeah, I think if we're able to see those hard tires, those that are from the start of the race, stretch a bit further, they might be in a good pit window to end up on a medium for the last stretch of the race and maybe be able to have a little extra speed with the car on lower fuel and everything there. So
that's a good point. That's a really good point.
You do the same. I'm just speaking for everybody watching at home.
Now, do we have word that the safety car, it doesn't say it's ending this week.
No, I haven't seen the notification. Yeah.
We're seeing drivers warm up their tires as though safety car is going to be in here shortly. Now, this restart is going to be really exciting. Max in P2, man,
for his pace.
It didn't do so well for him the first time here. Let's see what he
Yeah.
can do.
Well, and on those hard tires, he did put in a fastest lap. Leclerc didn't really get an opportunity though to really get his new tires up to speed to really make a run at that though. So we'll have to see if that does, and safety car is going to be ending. So I guess we'll see with this restart if Max just continues to have the similar lack of pace compared to the Ferrari, and drop back, and we'll get some good battles between probably Russell, Alonso, Perez, and Hamilton all on this restart.
Yeah, Stroll up to 13th. Starting to move in towards the World Championship points, but yeah.
Just so worried.
On the grid, didn't I?
I'm just so worried that with all these restarts, the drivers lose a little bit of momentum. I feel like there's got to be a danger zone of restarts where like the more you have, the more issues it can create.
Oh, I think every restart just automatically creates more issues because you're bunching all the cars up. And
understood.
Oh,
yeah, even that.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
If there was no contact,
Like they're just warming up their tires and like Mick almost fucking nails a guy.
yeah.
Is that who that was?
Yeah, it was Mick. It looked like he thought that people were gonna continue going a bit, and he was, and they just started weaving, and he did not. He was expecting people to just like kind of go down the straight, but Leclerc slowing things down to this last turn, where last time he kind of tried to take off, and doing the same here. Oh wow.
That was way better.
Wow, that was a phenomenal restart for Max. And Max had a little speed wobble going through the first turn, but he was really able to just put his nose right on the back of Leclerc. So.
Oh, and he's got Russell right behind him too, and Alonso's right there.
Yeah, I had a feeling this was going to be a juicy little restart here.
Holy heck, and then even right behind Alonso, you have Perez, Hamilton, and Magnussen. They are all so close.
Yeah, this is... and glad to see no issues or anything on that restart. Max is just hanging about that half second back, and so we'll see. Wow, Alonso almost had a nice little run at Russell there for that P3, but we're slowly seeing just a tenth or two at a time. Verstappen falling back from Leclerc pretty quickly here, and then the Mercedes of Russell doing kind of the same from Verstappen. So.
Yeah, no, I think that was one of the chances that Max was going to have here to get ahead of Charles. It just seems like that Ferrari has so much pace ahead of everybody else, and in Charles' hands too.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a missed opportunity there for Max. Kudos to Leclerc. He's had Max behind him on each of these restarts. I do not envy that position. So kudos to Charles for nailing these restarts and maintaining that lead and just stretching his legs.
Yeah, not the cleanest on this one, but he did what he needed to maintain the lead, and now he's able to just stretch it in that clean air. That Ferrari just looks really good, which makes it, I think, even more disappointing for the Ferrari team that Sainz is out of the race, because I really hope that it wasn't him just being impatient that caused that, caused him to underbrake and go off the track there, because his car definitely would have had the pace to fight his way up through the grid. I think similarly to how we had seen Hamilton in last year's Mercedes working his way through the grid anytime he was starting down pretty far from penalties from gearbox changes or anything like that.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point to make, and it's clear the Ferrari has the pace. So this is why I'm with you and kind of leaning towards. He must have got impatient. He must have tried to put it in a position that he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah, I really will have to look back at some replays because I would not be surprised. I think especially knowing that he has a car that's faster than a lot of the drivers that were around him at that restart, I think it's very easy to kind of get in that mindset where you're looking to just propel yourself up, especially after slipping 5 places back right on the start and getting a really slow start off the grid. I wouldn't be surprised for him to just have been in his own head a little bit, like, man, shit, I lost those spots. I need to get back and try and make that up as quickly as we can. So,
speaking of making it up as quickly as we can, Sergio is hot on the tail of Fernando Alonso, trying to make up this space. Right now, Perez is only in 5th, so he is a little bit further down than where he started, and he wants to be up. He wants to be up higher for those points for Red Bull.
Yeah, and just Perez has gotten screwed a little bit by some safety cars and all. So, I mean, this time, of course, Alonso with just not pitting with the safety car and all, and just getting past him now on the straight. But Russell getting the good side of that safety car in terms of pitting, and Perez losing a place because of it. So he's just, it doesn't matter if he does everything right sometimes. He just has had some unfortunate luck. So he'll be battling back to fight for that 3rd position.
Yeah, and depending on what the pace increase looks like, he may be doing that sooner than later, because it looks like he's only about 2 seconds back, maybe a little bit more on Russell currently.
Yeah, about 2 seconds and kind of fluctuating in that like 1.8, 1.9 spot. Yeah, and just breezing by with that DRS by Sergio. So
Nice little slow-mo there, yeah.
Exactly what he needed to do in that position.
Man, and it's just gonna be a points grabbing day here for the Red Bulls up in 2-4. Obviously they want to get as much as we can, but so far they ran a pretty good race. But overall, man, I think the race of the day goes to Mercedes currently. They've held it up there in a position that we haven't thought that their car was able to do. Obviously, their 1 lap pace is much different than what their car can do on race day.
Definitely, and a big point for both McLarens as well to really try and keep in that fight for the top of the midfield. I guess now that's just a championship top 3 battle currently, as Mercedes will, based on how things are looking currently, potentially continue to just slowly fall a little further and further behind as they're just picking up less points on the weekend. But it is big for both Mercedes and Red Bull, with Ferrari losing the car, of course. But I know McLaren is probably just very happy to get points. They've both already made their pit stops, so Alonso and Magnussen still, again, to remind everyone, on their first set of tires, and most likely going to lose a number of places when they do end up having to pit.
Yeah, and then it's going to be on them to hopefully use the shorter life in their tire to gain any positions back that they can, because right now that'll likely drop Magnussen out of the points, and Mick, Mick's out, but he did his pit. But Albon's going to be in the same position where right now he's in the points, but once he pits, he's going to be out of it for sure.
And he's someone who, and I did want to mention a little bit, like the incident with Latifi in the Williams car, Albon's teammate with Lance Stroll yesterday. That was a pretty unfortunate incident in qualifying with them coming together. but nonetheless, Latifi is definitely looked like he is struggling throughout the season so far. But Albon coming back into F1 and everything has really impressed me so far, especially in that competition with his teammate. The Williams car is still not exactly where I'm sure they want it to be, but after being out of F1 for a year, to come back and be able to compete and look, I mean, in competition with his teammate, look pretty good. I've been really impressed by Albon.
Yeah, I agree. And previously he was Max's teammate on Red Bull, and then the drive was given to Sergio, correct? And he was reserve driver, test driver, or did he go to another? He was AlphaTauri.
So he went down. It was he took Gasly's place, and then he was replaced by Sergio. After the 1.5 seasons as Max's teammate since they switched mid-season, and then was dropped to the reserve driver position for Red Bull for a season last year, and then being picked up by Williams. I believe he was also driving in another series. I think he was in either Formula E or maybe one of the supercar series.
I'm pretty sure he drove DTM for Red Bull. So yeah, he was still part of the org. I was basically just saying that to say previously, when we saw Alex Albon in Formula 1, he was Max Verstappen's teammate, and pretty much anybody that you put next to Max in his current form is like it's just a tier 2 driver. It's just a second driver. They're not going to be competing. But now in this position, I'm getting back to your point. Now in this position, he looks so much better than Nicholas Latifi, and actually, like, okay, now we may want to build our car around Alexander Albon. You know, that's like a marketable choice that Williams has now, where previously you're not going to see that when he's next to a Max Verstappen.
Yeah, well, right? and I'm just impressed overall with him, because after going through all of that, and really, like, I think he got a lot of flack as a really young driver who got propelled into an extremely high pressure situation. I think that's a really difficult spot to be in, but to go through all of that, not be extremely successful as the Red Bull number 2 driver, get dropped out of racing in F1 for a year, and to come back and, like, have that mental fortitude to go through all of that, and to now be competitive and beating his teammate. That's a pretty impressive thing overall.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
So,
I definitely agree. He's been fun to watch this year, and I just hope to continue seeing good things out of him. But speaking of Red Bull and number 2 drivers, we have Sergio Perez making a serious hunt onto George Russell, and if he keeps this gap under a second, we're going to see him chomping through distance in these DRS zones.
Oh yeah, he is ready to stretch his legs and make a run at George for sure. And Hamilton has just continued to slowly drop further and further back here. But while we were talking about Alex Albon, we got both of the McLarens getting past Kevin Magnussen in the Haas car there. So they both were able to use that DRS and the speed that they've had, the race pace they've had this season to get by and up into that P7, P8. Again, still with Fernando Alonso needing to pit.
Yeah, big time. We just see this. We see this gap to Russell just closing down. Now we're seeing a radio message for George Russell coming through.
About to say, Martin, no driver wants to hear any engineer.
Interesting. They're saying let him by.
Well, I think if he doesn't feel like he's going to be taking care of the tires to try and fight Perez. Because if he destroys those hard tires too quickly and everything, of course, he'll have another pit stop. He'll lose 20 seconds as opposed to just maybe 3-4 seconds by letting Perez by and chilling out a little bit on those tires.
Yeah, he is not letting him go. He says, no, I'm cool. I'll fight him.
Yeah, which, I mean, we'll see if that comes back to bite him. That is such a short little DRS zone there.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. So it's like one detection zone, but you get two shots at it or something. I know it's different than the usual setup. Man, we have Russell and Perez just going back and forth because now Russell's behind him going down to the main straight turn 1.
Yeah, and even with that DRS, just not quite. Not quite quick enough.
Be able to stay close.
I think for the meantime, but I feel like we'll see him fall just a little bit further back here. But I
don't know, man. I feel like these cars can stick pretty close, man.
They can, but I just think the Mercedes car just does not have the speed it needs to keep up. I mean, it made sense that that Perez was going to have some difficulty because the Mercedes car is by no means slow. So it makes sense that Perez was going to have some tough time fighting through, but I feel like now that he is through, he'll be able to just grow that distance between the two of them over the next few laps.
Yeah, we've got about 20 laps to go or so. We've got Leclerc P1, Max P2, Sergio P3, and honestly, they're like, well, nah, Max is like 6 seconds behind.
But just put in a fastest lap, so.
Okay, so he could be shaving it down. We'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, so I think I'm a couple seconds ahead of you here.
Fair enough.
So I just bumped mine back a smidge.
Nice. Do you see a long straight down the main?
I do. I see now I see a curvy, windy turn 2.
Cool. Yeah, we are in sync.
There we go.
The boy band.
I can. I've been just like every now and then just touching it if I need to with how close to the live I am based on what you're saying and you're reacting.
Oh, fuck, that's so funny. Well, I'm glad you're on top of it because yeah, my phone's all the way over there.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna make you go fight with that. So.
Nice. I appreciate you. This is podcasting at its finest.
Oh yeah, like you said, in sync like the boy band.
Tall and short of a podcast for all your race companion needs.
Absolutely. And Max just putting in another fastest lap here. So nice.
But oddly enough, that gap is increased.
Yeah, and then Leclerc. Well, it just showed Leclerc doing a fastest lap. Then Max, what happened? Oh no! Brutal.
Okay, Max, stop the car, please.
Oh.
And is this another power unit issue for Red
Bull? Brutal.
Powertrains that had the disappointment in Bahrain.
That's upsetting. So Max just out of it. He has had awful luck in Australia too. He is yeah, not had a great time.
No, and honestly, like these Red Bull power units are not doing so hot.
Yeah, it's definitely definitely tough. So I mean, 2 retirements in 3 races, and after after making a nice run in the second race in Saudi Arabia to run into this issue again. That is rough. And I mean, I think we'll see a number of teams taking gearbox penalties throughout the season, but yeah, Max doing the smart thing, pulling off when he had some issues, and bringing the marshals in to get the fire extinguisher out.
Direct the flow of the fire extinguisher.
Oh, the guy was just standing there. I guess he didn't realize couldn't see where the fire was coming from in the car, and so so virtual safety car. Alonso taking advantage of that.
There we go.
So we'll see how much time these guys lose and how many places they drop, but
dude, my man did 40 laps on tires on the hottest day of the weekend, and I mean, you can't call a safety car, but man, Alonso really just got lucky there.
Yeah, and
and we got the green flag. We're back to racing. They got Max's car off the track and ready to go. Here we are.
Yeah, but Albon did not pit there. So we saw Alonso and Magnussen both pit and go for the mediums, but Albon is now up to P7. Still does have to pit, of course. So
gained 13 positions for Alexander Albon currently, if that's where he would stay.
Yeah.
Wow, and Charles Leclerc pretty much just gets a big old lead put in between him and second place. Now it would truly be his race to lose at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely an interesting race for the points for the season. That lead for Leclerc now gets to really stretch out between him and P2. Sergio, of course, though, maintaining that P2 for the Red Bull team and getting some constructor points, which is so necessary, especially with Russell and Hamilton 3 and 4. That is going to bring Mercedes very quickly back up into contention for that constructors again as we're continuing on in this championship. A lot of racing to go still, of course, but that is not the start that Red Bull was looking for the team and Max in particular, of course. Not that they would want that for Sergio either, but they definitely they want to make sure that Max, over his long contract with the team, is a happy camper, and that's not the best way to do that starting out here.
Yeah, and it's just well, I'm worried, well, because we know they had the powertrain handoff this year and took over all production of it. I just nailed the mic. So it's just concerning that maybe they don't have all their I's dotted and their T's crossed, because man, this is too many weekends at this point. This is a pattern, man.
Yeah, and I mean the teams are. I think every team is already struggling a bit. I believe in the Alfa Romeo, they've already had multiple power units that they've used, and I think similarly with the Aston Martins as well. So Checo checking on the situation with Max to just make sure that he is not going to have the same problem, which fortunately it sounds like for the Red Bull team he is not.
Well, that's
So
We have, well, what is that? That's 4 constructors in the top 6. We have Ferrari P1, we have Red Bull P2, and then we have Mercedes P3 and 4, McLaren 5 and 6 with Norris ahead of Ricardo.
And I'm happy for, I am really happy for the McLarens this weekend because they had a rough start, and I think Danny Ricciardo can hang his hat on a pretty nice race weekend so far at his home race. I think that, well, being ahead of Lando would probably be ideal for him, but 5-second time penalty for Stroll weaving on the straight, and then he also is currently under investigation for forcing Valtteri Bottas off the track because he sent it too deep into a turn, and Valtteri dodged him. Lost 2 positions due to it, so...
Honestly, that seems just pretty reckless, and especially with Latifi earlier, that's just not cool. I'm not so sure about that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think I'll have to look and see if we get some more penalty points added, but I would not be shocked if we see some penalty points come up for Lance Stroll with those situations. I mean, we saw Max get 2 different penalties last season for forcing, or it may have been Sergio, forcing Leclerc off the track a couple of different times, adding one point penalties for each of those. So I'm sure Stroll will get one for that. But the weaving on the straight, hitting Nicholas Latifi as well, which was definitely primarily on him. It's going to be... So, no further investigation, but... Okay, but no time penalty for that. So... And we'll see if Stroll can maintain that P9 with Gasly right on his tail.
It seems like Gasly has a little more pace and everybody behind him too.
Yeah, definitely. He's looking pretty comfortable out there right now, but I know that after some of the performances that Gasly had last season is probably a little disappointing for him right now. But overall, I think he's doing what he can with the car, and he's looking pretty solid just in his driving. So very consistent, which we have gotten used to seeing out of Gasly.
Yeah, and honestly, just from AlphaTauri in general, we've come to expect a pretty good package going into every weekend. Like, it doesn't often seem like they're getting knocked out early in Q1 or Q2. Obviously, their one-lap pace seems pretty strong. Their race pace seems pretty strong. Right now, we have Gasly in 10th and Tsunoda back in 15th. I think he might have just caught a bad timing with one of the virtual safety cars or one of the safety cars because he was up a little further. But yeah, overall, I think these are the type of races that we're going to come to expect from the AlphaTauri. And yeah, just continue to look forward to seeing good performances out of Pierre, because he seems like and has proven to be a really strong driver.
Yeah, and this is really fun to watch him like just chasing down Lance Stroll right now. He is just hanging on him so closely, using those DRS points to try and go after him. So definitely an exciting little group here between Stroll down to Mick Schumacher and even Zhou Guanyu all within just like 2 seconds for 5 cars or so. 6 cars, I guess.
Yeah, we've got a nice little DRS train here. We get the move done
Magnussen.
That was nice and clean. Yeah, I think despite what some of the analysts were saying, I know historically Australia hasn't been the most overtakey of tracks, but it seems like some of the changes that they made have really increased the raceability of a lot of these corners. We're seeing some elbows out, which is really fun.
Yeah, and seeing Valtteri right on Gasly as well for that last point place. That is some really aggressive driving we're seeing, and like you said, elbows out to try and hold or gain those positions. So.
And it looks like Valtteri is going to be able to get it done before Pierre does, and Valtteri may just have a little more pace than everybody in that little pack there. If he can scoop by Gasly, he may have the best shot on Lance Stroll there to really crack that pack open.
Yeah, the only other one I would say is Alonso, if he's able to get up there, because he is on the medium tires, and that Alpine, like we had mentioned, has had some really good performance. So it's just tough with that DRS train that he's in right now. He can't take advantage of that as easily.
Yeah, it's hard to... excuse me. It's going on way past my bedtime. Yeah, it's hard to play a progressive strategy when everybody behind you has that speed increase as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the long straight, we've got Gasly still just not quite able to make that move. Just continuing to end up on the outside. Oh, looking for the inside. Just really trying to... Yeah, Stroll is really defending pretty well.
Yeah, and it doesn't seem like doing anything too aggressive. You know, we saw the one incident that got noted, weaving down on the straights, but looks like on that one he just did the one move on the side.
Yeah, and he's been able to put his car in a good spot, kind of towards that middle inside of the track for going into that right-hander at turn 1, because he's had to really defend that way to block off any chance of being kind of getting the inside out for Gasly, or just having Gasly blow by him on the inside, forcing him the long way if he's going to try and make a move.
Yeah, and this is just this is really exciting racing just from the development standpoint, because this pack would have broken up, you know, many laps ago with all the dirty air knocking all these drivers away. They would not be able to follow this closely, but it looks like each of them believes like they're kind of in contention for that next place and not laying off. I'm curious what it's doing to their tires, but so far it looks like they're all keeping pace pretty well.
Yeah, and for those last points positions, I mean, Stroll has a 5-second penalty, so as of right now, he would drop back to P14. So he would be out of the points, but he is making it very interesting for all of the cars right behind him.
Yeah, he's interesting and definitely not making it easy. I'm sure they would love to. I'm sure they would love to just blow by him.
He's trying.
Yeah, a bit frustrating there, isn't it? Fernando's just not been able to use those tires, as we pointed out.
Yeah, Fernando on the radio just wants to stretch those medium tires, but Stroll is just holding everything up in that pack.
And that's like a case of Stroll not having as much pace as everybody behind him, but them not being able to find the opening.
Yeah, they just don't quite have that speed to overtake on these honestly a little bit shorter DRS zones that we have here at Australia than some of the ones we saw in in Jeddah, for instance. So, I just lost my stream. So.
Well, let me take it over for you. We got Valtteri Bottas coming up behind the AlphaTauri of Pierre Gasly, who's trying to make it on to Stroll here, while we obviously continue with all of our technical difficulties here for this show. whether it be, you know, timing or losing the stream completely. This is what you come here for, folks.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to be getting back to that live viewing, and I'll have to just bump that back a bit. So let me know when Gasly comes around that last turn down the main straight.
To save the tires, and I'll charge later. And he doesn't need
Not
to take a risk
yet,
if passing
and
Stroll, who
it
is
won't
very
be
aggressive.
for a little
He's making
bit
a meal
here,
of
it
passing a slower Aston
seems.
Martin. But whilst he's just sitting
I
there with
think
DRS, he has been
there
under a bit
it
of pressure from Bottas,
is.
but nothing that he can't soak up just yet.
Not yet.
And he doesn't
Not
need
yet. Turn
to Stroll, who dropped
13
off
does
from
the
Bottas. So
scoop,
Alonso's
goes
thought,
into
"I'm not
turn
doing it like this. I need to save
14.
the tyres, and I'll
Oh
charge
yeah,
later on."
now
Here
we're
we
on
go,
the
Vic.
main straight.
Okay, cool.
With his best
Lap
opportunity of the
50,
race.
baby. 8 more to go. We see him just push by Lance Stroll. Does he get it done? He gets it done. Pushes by Lance Stroll, leaves him in the dust. And now it's Valtteri's turn. Valtteri says, give me that position. Not on this one, but looks like he's got the pace, and he should be really able to nail him.
Disadvantage Stroll through turn 1 and into
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. But Gasly finally getting by, and now Bottas and Alonso both going to really have to get past if they're gonna want to make a run at some extra points there. But Stroll, of course, still dropping back to about P14 or so. But yeah, Valtteri definitely has more pace in that car.
Yeah, big time. It's just going to be a matter of finding the opening here.
Yeah.
And yeah, honestly, I think I'm happy that they're being liberal with the penalties and stuff. It just seems unreasonable and unaware in scenarios like that. It just seems like you're not like looking in your mirrors or whatever the heck. So yeah, we see Sergio Perez go off, misjudging. What is that, turn 13 that he was just on?
Yeah.
And that's allowed
MC lock up for Mick Schumacher. He loses a position.
Yeah,
Australia is giving it to these guys.
Yeah, but Sergio's still 3 seconds up on George, so no concern, fortunately, with that runoff by Checo, but Lewis is still trying to run down George.
Would this be George's first podium?
No, he had the podium with the half points race.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But that was his only one, I believe, so far. First this season.
Well, that'd be fun and exciting, and like on total merit too, man. He's driven a really great race, and so is Lewis. Honestly,
yeah,
taking a questionable weekend and really, you know, putting it up there, really getting some points for Mercedes today.
Yeah, definitely. And fortunately enough for George, like we said earlier on, getting that fortunate timing on the safety car and everything, and getting that pit stop. But he is driven a really clean race and taken advantage of his opportunities. So 100% good for him.
Oh, big time! Here we go. Zhou Guanyu getting it done on Fernando Alonso there, making it stick.
I wonder if it's the tyres are just going through this grain.
Damn, he's just he's losing pace, falling back.
Yeah, those medium tires I think are just tough.
Fernando will fight back, but I think Magnussen will have the line, just runs Fernando a little wide, and Alonso has to take evasive action. But I think that was
racing pretty close, pushes him off a little bit.
Just a smidge, yeah. Yeah, no, not bad. Alonso trying to keep that position. But yeah, those medium tires have had a lot of issues, a lot of graining, so I think that may be what we're seeing from Alonso here. But Magnussen on the medium tires as well.
I wonder if he's going to pit just on the last one.
Yeah, you could see that. You could see that nice ridge forming in the middle of the Fernando's tires there on the Alpine.
Yeah, and as they mentioned, Albon with the fastest first sector on those 53 lap old hard tires. So they're saying he may just stop on the last lap of the race and just keep holding this on and hope for a situation where he maybe gets a free pit stop, but I guess otherwise we'll see him probably around P11, P12, but his pace is holding.
Yeah, his pace is holding, and like kudos to him. Like the longer these tires go, the more undrivable they get. But now he is in that like no man's land of like, well, he obviously should have stopped by now. So it's just gonna be an awkward pit stop no matter when he has to do it.
We don't think anyone can beat it.
Okay.
Leclerc just itching to make sure he keeps that fastest lap point.
Interestingly enough, though, he already has it.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, though, honestly, based on... I don't know. I think Albon would really have to put in a banger of a lap to do it up, but if he could throw some softs on here at the end for, like, last 2 laps, he might be able to honestly snatch that.
Yeah, that would be quite impressive, and some heads-up gamesmanship by the team there at Williams Racing, because that would I think foil some plans. I know it's only 1 point, but you know.
Lewis saying that they put him in a difficult position.
Yeah. P4 for the guy. That's a difficult position.
But like, I don't understand what he can be upset about other than just the unfortunate timing. Like, he came in and pitted. George was pitting after him because Lewis had position, and then a safety car came out. Like, that stuff happens. That's not something that, and like, I'm sure that they're telling him not to fight George for P3, but when they have dropped down the constructors' standings a little bit and are trying to fight for that constructors' championship, you just need as many points as you can get. You don't want to risk anything.
Sure. Yeah, I think I would agree. And even if your second car has more pace, like, yeah, just give it to them, because then they're just gonna they'll be in a position to get hopefully more points. Yeah, fair on them.
Yeah, I mean, we saw it last year with Lando having more pace than Danny Ricciardo when they went 1-2. And McLaren told them to hold position because they wanted to maintain and make sure that they got all the points they could. It just makes sense.
Yeah, like you start racing each other, you never know what could happen. And that would not be efficient for the winning strategy. We got 3 laps to go. We're on lap 56 out of 58.
Yeah, and I would expect this lap honestly for Albon to come pit so that he has an extra lap on those soft tires. But he may be able to, yeah, or, well, he might get a point here for Williams. That would be huge. He's in a position where he might end up in that P10 with Stroll having the 5-second penalty.
Well, and then if he's on much younger, quicker tires, depending on like what the traffic's like, he may be able to make a quick little overtake or two to get to 9.
Yeah.
But that's all pipe dreams. We'll see what happens.
A word for George Russell as well, who has driven a beautiful race.
Damn, coming up to the end, George Russell. Man, that's gonna be so dope for him to get his first like official points, like on merit, not points, podium, on merit.
Yeah, because it's definitely a different one to drive a 58-lap race than a 5-lap under safety car race. So this will be extremely exciting for him. So huge credit to him on his drive today. He's looked awesome. He would probably, honestly, I think it's tough between Albon and Russell for me for that driver of the day. I think I'd have to give it to Albon. He's driven 57 laps on these tires. That's insane.
Yeah, I'd probably have to give it to Albon too. At a certain point, it is just like the driver doing his job, and somewhere in there the strategists are like, well, we don't know like when's a good time to get him in here.
Yeah.
So yeah, kudos to Alex for just putting it all together this race and really driving it home.
Yeah, just trucking along and doing his thing. It's pretty cool to see.
Any different, but there you go, Stuart.
Yeah, and overall, this has been a pretty exciting race. I think it's another highlight of the rules and regulations that have come in. I think we're seeing much closer racing, much maybe you know, some more overtakes. I like what they did with the track. I think it it's smooth, it's flowing, but still really high speed. I think it's provided some great racing today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that we've had some very good racing today, which is awesome to see. So
is that Charles Leclerc having to dodge around the track markers there?
I guess they probably would have moved, but I guess since he made that move first, it's
This is smart.
I guess up to him. So
But he's on lap 57.
Now we're on board with Alexander Albon currently. I wonder what the. Are you still awake?
Well, no jet lag, no tiredness for any of us.
Yeah. Sergio was saying that to his pit team, so he probably just hasn't heard from them for a little bit.
Oh, dude, that's so funny. Just out there, just cruising along.
Man, 20 seconds back from Leclerc, 5 seconds up on Russell. So Albon in the pits right now. Let's see. But yeah, beautiful race from Leclerc. We didn't get to see him too much because he was just out doing his thing out front with really not much competition other than on the safety car restarts. Beautiful race from him. So
yeah, well played.
With the fastest lap as well. Albon in P10 on those soft tires with Zhou Guan Yu just half a second behind him. Just extremely tight spot.
In 2022, a great drive from Perez and let us take our
what a tight little finish here.
Russell on the podium for Mercedes.
Russell there, P3, Hamilton P4.
Lost that position.
5 and 6 for McLaren. That's huge for them.
Big points for McLaren.
An unexpected result for them, and let us also say a great team result for McLaren here in Australia.
Kudos to Charles Leclerc stretching that Drivers' Championship lead, getting ever more points for Ferrari. Man, this is shaping up to be a pretty exciting season.
Yep. And
do you have any final words here?
Well, for me, Albon, driver of the day, but like I said, beautiful drive from Leclerc. Definitely gutted, as they say, for Max and Carlos, of course, but a really nice race overall and a fun one to watch. So thank you all for being here and watching along with us.
Yeah, I would just like to second that. Thank you. You listeners are the reason we do this. Thank you so much for joining us here for the 2022 Australian Grand Prix. This has been a tall and short of it race companion. Peace out, everyone.
Later.